Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Deep Dive. The last time you saw myself and Colin, and you're watching the screen going, so where's Colin then? What are you talking about? Don't worry, I'm going to bring Colin on soon. But the last time you saw us, Bromley had beaten Maidenhead 4-1. And since that game, Bromley have gone on to win two more games. 3-0 at home against Oldham on Saturday, and at the time of recording last night at a bogey venue for us, the Victoria Road, a place where we rarely get points, never mind win. Bromley came away from Victoria Road and Dagenham Redbridge with a 1-0 win. It means that Bromley are now 8 games unbeaten. They've won 5 games in a row. And they're, I'm going to whisper it quietly, dare I say, Bromley are promotion contenders. Listen. Okay, let me take that one back. What I will say though is, and Colin and I are going to get into it, it's one of our kind of 5 key talking points is we have to start, even people like myself and Colin, who I would consider like long-time fans, right? We've got to start having a conversation as a Bromley fan base. And I think the newer fans who are listening to this, you'll probably say, oh, we've been there for quite some time. But I think certainly some of the older fan base or people have been going for a long time have to start having that conversation with themselves. They say, Bromley are a playoff side in this division, a legitimate playoff contender side, not necessarily an automatic promotion side, but they're a playoff contending side. How many sides in this league do you think would be able to start the season basically at the back of the grid after a points penalty deduction and make their way into the top 4 off the back of an 8-match unbeaten run as soon as they had everybody they need? Like, I don't think we should underestimate what Bromley have done over the last 8 games. If another team did it, would be singing from the rooftops saying, bloody hell, that's title contending form. Well, Bromley are doing it, and we kind of got to look at that reality. But anyways, like I say, this is the deep dive. You know how the deep dive works. The new format is we try to pick 5 key talking points. We're going to do this across the 2 games, the 3-0 versus Oldham, the 1-0 versus Dagenham and Redbridge. Get at us in the comments below. Let us know what you think. This is being posted in the Facebook group as well, so get at us in those comments as well. All communication, all kind of conversation is all warranted and welcomed around these kind of topics. Anyway, so without any further ado, the internet's been a bit dodgy, so apologies if this is a bit glitchy for some of you. But let me bring Colin on, see how he's doing. How you doing, Colin?
Oh, yeah, Mash. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, mate. Yeah, really good.
So let's chop it up. You watched the 1-0 win last night at the time of recording. Did you go to Broomfields?
I did. Yeah, I watched it in there. Yeah.
So out of interest, actually, because you watched what was the other game you watched? Was it Rochdale?
Rochdale. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What's it like watching that? I haven't watched one yet in Broomfields, like those kind of midweek games. What's it like in there?
It's kind of strange. I mean, it's good that you're around other people that are watching the game with you and want the same result. So that's kind of nice. So you're watching it with people, and it makes it more engaging in a way because you're gauging other people's reaction to what's going on as well. There was a few people in there last night, 50 odd maybe. Pretty good turnout, and yeah, it's good. The sound in there isn't great. You can't really hear what the commentators are saying, so it's like the days of watching it, the COVID days when we went to watch the away games through a laptop. It's a bit like that, but it's much better than not seeing them at all. So yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And for those fans who don't know, I actually don't know if you still keep it, but just educating some fans about Cole. Cole used to have a book.
It's still there.
Where he documented pretty much every single Bromley game, certainly that he'd been to, and possibly, I don't know, Cole will explain in a minute, if it was games that he didn't go to, but just documented them all the same. And the reason why I reference the book, Cole, is because Dagenham, if we just mention Dagenham and Redbridge first, we have rarely got, certainly in my time as a Bromley fan, I've never seen us get anything there. And I'm not counting Rico Hackett-Fairchild's equaliser. That game was live on TV, and I wasn't there. But I've never seen us win there, so I don't see that. I see that as one of our big bogey grounds.
Yeah, I would agree. I've only seen us win there once. That was under George Wakeling, sort of mid to late 90s. We nicked a 2-1 when they were flying. They were heading towards the conference. We were trying to stay up, as we always did. And yeah, we nicked a win there. But that's the only other time I can remember us winning there. Yeah, as for the book, it's every game that I go to, and that doesn't count streaming. You have to actually physically be in the ground.
Listen, people, if any of you ever want to see the book, you've got to speak to Cole.
Yeah, you do.
Book,
Yeah,
I've known about this book from when I first started going, so Lord knows what the book's saying now. But yeah, so as I said at the top of the show, Cole, 3-0 win versus Oldham. And actually, let's go to the Oldham game. Let's start there properly, because you and I spoke after the Maidenhead one, where I said, what do you think is going to happen? And we both said, and this is rare for people like you and me to say, yeah, we'll turn them over. That was our expectation.
yeah. I said we go into the game as favourites, and I really couldn't see any other result than us winning, which is very rare for me.
To be fair, we did turn them over. Like, we won that game
really
at a
did,
canter.
Yeah.
So although it was something you expected, did you expect it to be that comfortable?
Before I guessed it might be. I guessed it might be as comfortable as that. I thought for 10 minutes, I thought, okay, they've come to have a go. They really have, because obviously they come into the game in trouble. We come to the game full of confidence. For 10 minutes or up until the water break, I thought, okay, they're going to give us a really tough game here. And then once we kind of regrouped, got our goal, from that point, we never, ever looked like we were going to concede. And really, I think we possibly could have had some more at the end. It was interesting that we almost chose to take the foot off the gas and make sure we kept a clean sheet. That seemed to be more important than maybe going for a fourth. But
most definitely. And we can go deeper on that game, but I just want to kind of correlate that as well then to Tuesday night. Tuesday night I thought we started strong. In fairness, obviously I was in the ground. I thought we started strong. I think we could have had a goal in the first 15 minutes or so. We didn't. Then I thought Dagenham grew into the game. And actually, by the time halftime came, I actually felt we were the ones who were glad for halftime more so than Dagenham, right?
I was pleased to go in 0-0 at halftime, definitely.
100%. And that doesn't mean that Dagenham had clear-cut chances, but I think they were bossing possession. I think they were looking the more threatening the more the first half went on. And I think Andy Woodman alluded to it as much, actually, in his post-match kind of interview with Matt Hall. Second half, again, relatively even, but what was striking for me is once the goal went in, again, kind of similar to Oldham, I was like, yeah, we're not losing this. That doesn't mean that I didn't think that we might get. That doesn't mean that I hadn't considered that it could be a point, but I knew we weren't losing from that point onwards in the game, and it kind of speaks to where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't see us letting 2 goals in. Not when we're playing the way we're playing against the way we played last night. I thought they might nick one, but I didn't think like you say, as soon as we scored, we're not going to lose. It's just a matter of whether we can preserve a clean sheet, and we did. Smith made a couple of decent saves, and one that bounced in front of him, and he read it really well. And other than that, I thought we kept him to long range efforts, really.
So let's talk about the 5 key talking points. So I've looked across the 2 games. I've tried to identify what I think are the 5 big talking points across games. And like I say, anybody watching this, get us in the comments below, whether on Facebook, whether on YouTube, whatever, and let us know. First things first, the kind of common theme across the 2 games, and the person I thought was the star performer in both games was Corey Whiteley. Now, it's easy to say that because Corey scored the winner on Tuesday night, but Corey's now scored 3 goals in probably 5 games, I think it is. To put this in perspective, Corey only scored 5 last season. And I did a video a few days ago where I spoke about when Corey came to us. This is a guy who'd scored double figures at Dagenham, double figures at Ebbsfleet, double figures at Enfield before he got his big moves into the National League. Is this the best we've seen Corey Whiteley, or am I exaggerating?
No, I think it is. I mean, I've always rated him, always liked him. Was really pleased when he came back to us. But yeah, I think he's absolutely at the top of his game for us at the moment. And he's adding. You add goals to the other contributions that he makes to the team. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's great. He's exactly what we need at the moment.
And yeah, I think that point you make there is crucial for me. We already know that he's a creative force. We already know that he's an assist machine. We already know that when him and Louis are in the same team, we're infinitely better. And also to give young Ben Krauhaus his due, Krauhaus is also a ball carrier. So when you have three players, which we do now, in Krauhaus, Whiteley, and Dennis, who can all carry the ball deep into the opposition half and find space, etc. But Corey adding goals to his game, and this is crucial for Bromley, because all the while we don't have to rely on Cheek to score, the more dangerous the team actually is.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if they overmark Cheek, we've got other guys that can score. And if they take their eye off Cheek, he'll score. It's fantastic that you've got more than one outlet now. You know, and definitely need to mention for Jude Arthur's delivery for the goal. I mean, they did him a disservice on the commentary. They said it was a speculative cross. I thought that's not a speculative cross. That's a really good ball. You know, and
that was the type of cross saying. Here we are. We're back. Apologies, people. Like I say, internet is glitchy, so I don't know how this is going to come out in the final recording, people. But you're gonna have to work with it. But no, as you kind of said, Colin, if I get that type of cross, I'm expecting to score. Anybody in the 6-yard box wants that type of cross. So credit to Jude, and we also have to say credit to Jude because he's not had a start. He's had to come off the bench. He's had to accept that his role thus far is to come on about anywhere after the 55th minute, and I thought it was a good substitution, by the way, because I think Andy Woodman recognised that it's not that we were losing the midfield battle, but he needed more steel in the middle of the park. And I think he made the move early. It was only the 55th, 56th minute when he made that substitution. And I think Jude made not just for the goal, I think Jude made a massive difference in terms of ground covered and just from a defensive contribution. You know what Jude's like. Do you know what Jude reminds me of? He's like a central midfield equivalent of George Porter. He's just nagging away at your ankles.
That's a really good, that's a brilliant analogy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a really similar player. He's a pest. He won't stop working, won't stop being at you. Won't give you a second. And when he gets the ball, it's so positive. It's great.
For sure. Second talking point I wanted to move on to, again, across the two games, the wing backs. And the only reason I mention the wing backs is, and I think we may have alluded to this in the Maidenhead one as well, of all the players in the team, I think we've spoken about Coley, we've spoken about Webster, we've spoken about Smith, we've spoken about Krauhaus, Woods, Whiteley, Dennis, Cheek. The wing backs are probably the most forgotten members of our team because they're just doing their job. Both Topoloy and Passley are up and down all game. And it's weird. Let's start with Passley. It's weird because we sold Kellen Fisher. Kellen Fisher was a star boy. Everyone rated him, this, that, and the other. He's at Norwich City. Good for Kellen. But in a weird way, Cole, hear me out. Passley's a better player than him.
For us. Yeah, for us. Absolutely. Because his distribution and his delivery is so direct and so positive. You know, there's no checking back. There's no holding on to it for a bit too long. He's looking to deliver every time going forward. And now he's added goals to his game as well on Saturday. You know, he's read something really well, followed it in, and been first to it. He's proven to be a really good signing. Both of them, Bez and him, are just such an asset to have on either because they can play as wingers or we can play a back five when we're under the cosh a little bit. And they can do both.
And I think that point you made about, and I saw when Bromley were attacking the goal where we were as away fans, I noticed that about Passley in particular. His first intention when he gets the ball in the final third is work it for a crossing position. He's not thinking about anything other than drop shoulder, work it, cross. No dilly-dally, no cut back, no back pass and go again. It's I've got to cross it. I've got to cross it. And let me just clarify for those who are like, Mash, how can you say he's better than Kellen? Kellen will be better than Josh in time, in terms of he's 18 years old. But in terms of what we need right now, in terms of why Andy brought him in and the attacking threat Josh poses, it's a different kind of player. And arguably, Cole, do you know what's worse? Well, not worse. I mean, better. He's got more end product than Harry Forster.
Yeah, he does. The final ball was the one thing that a lot of people picked up about Forster, and Pastley's got that. Yeah, yeah.
So it's a kudos to Andy Woodman for that signing. People have sometimes criticised him and said, "Can you get players from within the leagues rather than youngsters?"
Yeah.
Well, Pastley's kind of proven that. Well, yes, he can. As for Topoloy, all I'll say about Topoloy is I had a conversation with Louis Dennis after the Oldham game, and we spoke about Bez. And all I'll say to people is that Louis said to me, Bez is going to play in the Football League. And my thing is, if Louis Dennis is saying that, I've always said that I think Bez is going to play in the Football League. I think he's got all the attributes. He's only 22, strong in the challenge, defensively, offensively. I can just see a Football League scout thinking, yeah, we'll have him. I don't know when, but I think, Cole, he will be one of the next off the kind of Bromley production line.
There's a Millwall supporter that I know whose sons both play for Crow Wanderers. He could not believe that they let him go. The loan move to him made perfect sense. Get him up, get him playing men's football, get him playing very competitive, strong level. But he could not believe that they let him go. And I was like, nor can I, but I'm really glad that you have,
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how long we'll keep him. And do you know what, though, what we have to say? Credit to Bez, though, because the easy thing to do would have been, well, I'm a Millwall under-23 player. I'm on the kind of fringes. Let me ride it out. The harder thing to do is say, I want to play men's football now.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Credit to him for kind of, I guess, buying into the idea of play for Bromley. You're going to get your move back up the pyramid anyway, with or without us. So yeah, just got to shout out Bez one time. Moving on, Cole. I said it at the top of the show. Bromley are a top 7 side, Cole. Like it, hate it, don't want to talk about it. Is it now time that we officially declare that Bromley are a minimum top 7 side in this league?
Yeah, I think it is. I think realistically, if we carry on playing the way we're playing, putting the performances that we're playing, obviously there are some point where we'll hit some buffers, where we'll lose a bit of form. That's only natural for most teams, other than like your Wrexhams and your Notts Counties, who last year just kept going. But yeah, realistically, if we carry on playing the way we're going, we've got to look to be in the playoffs at the end of the season, which is quite remarkable given after the Wildstone game, me and you were going, let's just scrap a few points to make sure that we stay in this league for another season. And now we're looking, wow, actually, you know what? You look at the top 3, and then after the top 3, there's a big bunch of teams, and we're one of them.
Yeah. The only thing I would say to just kind of clarify about that top 7 comment is without an injury crisis.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing I want to put some kind of context behind it. I think any team the size of Bromley, if you get a big injury crisis, as we saw at the start of the season, we'll actually know we're not a top 7 side. But if everyone is fit and the gods are smiling on you, then yes, we are.
Yeah, and we've cut out so far. We've cut down on our red cards, but so that was killing us as well. So yeah, injury suspensions. If we have luck with both, then we're up there. But as you said, we don't go as deep as some teams. So that's when we'll see how the loanees work out, I guess, because they'll get their chance at some point, and hopefully at that point they'll be ready.
This wasn't a talking point, but I want to just throw it out there. Playoffs or FA Cup 3rd round? What would you take?
Gosh. Oh man!
Or I don't want to say FA Cup 2nd round, because granted, hardly any of us who exist in the fan base have even seen that in recent time. Well, I've never seen it, right?
I think
but I don't think 2nd round's enough anymore. I think we'd have to say 3rd round. If it came down to it, what would you rather have?
3rd round would be incredible. At the moment, beating a league team, which I don't think we've ever done in 140. How many years is it now? Nearly 130 years. I don't think we've ever beaten a league team. That's one thing that that would really make it a bit like the trophy win. That would be a marker. So, well, look, we're here now. Because whenever we've played league teams in the FA Cup, we've never ever really given. The only exception is Bristol Rovers, where we had them rattled in both games. But apart from that, we've usually rolled over within 20 minutes. And we all look at each other and go, let's just enjoy the day. And I would love to give someone a proper game and get them worried again.
So hold on, you haven't answered the question. Playoffs?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go playoffs because I know the Cup's great and I know financially it'll be brilliant. That's January, and by May we'd have forgotten about it. So let's go playoffs, because playoffs, we made playoffs 2 years in a row. That's significant progress.
Yeah, that's a statement, to be fair. Okay, let's move on, Colin. So after the good, the bad, and the ugly, after the Oldham game, I think it was in the bad section, I wrote a bit about the attendance. The attendance against Oldham was 2,600. 1 year ago, literally 1 year ago, the attendance was 3,600. Martin Gregg, one of the Bromley Sea photographers, then wrote a really good article, kind of linking it to his experience in Scottish football and so on and so forth. And he kind of put a bit more perspective on it for me, because he was like, actually, Bromley should be ecstatic that they're even getting 2,600, and really it's promotion that would probably take us over the 3,000 marker. But I just wanted to see where you stand on. And by the way, I just want to clarify, I got no issue with it being 2,600. I just happened to notice when I saw the ground on Saturday, I was like, nah, this looks a bit low given it's Oldham. That's all that was going through my head, right? Yeah. And then I looked, I didn't know what last year's was. I just happened to look and was like, oh, wow, we're 1,000 down on what it was last year. So I just thought I'd write about it and let people know. But I have no issue with Bromley getting 2,600 at home. But what's your stance on attendance?
I'm with you. We're 10 times the crowd we had 20 years ago, which is a significant improvement. We were getting 250s, 300s, and thinking that's a good crowd. We've done all right today. Now we're getting 2,500, and it's being looked at as a bit average. I think the season ticket thing, obviously last year they were a bargain. I know people that bought one and only went to 4 or 5 games, but said, I'm still making money. It's still cheaper for me to get a season ticket and know that I can get in, and I'll just come to the games I fancy. Obviously, this year it's another £100 on top, so you're not going to do that. You're going to, when you're paying 197 on the early bird offer, I'm going to come to this many games. This is what I'm going to do every other Saturday now. So I would say that's probably got something to do with it. But yeah, I've got no problem. 2,500 fans is incredible for where we're at. Surrounded, there's 14 professional clubs in London. 3 of them, Palace, Millwall, Charlton, are very local. We're everybody's second team in the area, but we've got to push for more than 2,000 fans in as their first option. Which they have always been for us.
When you and I were first going at the same time, or when I turned up on the scene, so we were Ryman Prem, I reckon our average attendance is in around circa 97, 98. Is 500 about right? I feel like it was 500, right?
Yeah, I would say.
And then obviously when we got relegated down to Ryman 1 South, it was like 220 or something like that, 250, 220. Right. And of that 220, 250, and even probably of that 500, there was like a core 80 who went everywhere. No matter who we were playing, you'd see the same faces at pretty much every single game. What do you think our core is now? What do you think when we're playing someone crap with no name to the kind of casual fan base, what do you think the core home fan base is now?
Home fan base? I would say 1,500, probably. Okay. Yeah, I would say that. And away from home, we seem to take a couple of hundred virtually everywhere now, which is pretty good going. But yeah, I would say 1,500 Bromley fans. Should we have a terrible season, you would expect them to still come.
Interesting. People, let us know. Get us in the comments below, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Let us know what you think about that, because I'm intrigued on people's, and particularly if you're a new fan, because Colin and I, we're old out here, respectfully, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
We're coming from way back. What's it like for people who are new? Do you see like 2,600 and go, wow, it's really it's a really good vibe coming down to Bromley. Like, how do you view attendances at Bromley? And then final talking point, Cole. Looking at the two results together and looking at them in the context of 8 games unbeaten, Andy Woodman's record now reads playoffs for the 13 games he was in charge at the back end of 2-3 seasons back. FA Trophy winners and 10th. Playoff semi-finals, extra time defeat to Chesterfield. Should we have another good season this year, Cole, would you expect that is the last season Andy Woodman will be in charge at Bromley?
There's got to be a pretty good chance that someone from the Football League will take a gamble on him. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think there's a chance he'll go. If we have another good season, we make the playoffs again, there's probably an argument to say that someone a couple of divisions above will say, you know what, let's give this guy a chance. He's proved himself at Bromley. So I think realistically, yeah, there is a chance he might go at the end of the year.
Let me flip that question. Should he want to go? Forget Bromley now, for himself as a manager, should he be looking at his body of work over 3 and a bit seasons and go, yeah, I've done everything I can do here? Because, and the reason why I say that as well, and if Robin Stanton-Gleeves is listening to this, hear me out, Robin. If I'm Andy Woodman, I'm looking and going, well, hold on a minute. I don't even have the budget that the kind of top sides get in this league. And by top sides, I'm talking just Barnet. Never mind flipping all the other. I'm just doing Barnet, right? How long do you keep going without having that type of budget before you think, yeah, but I can go somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You kind of think, oh, if we get to the playoffs this year, should we be unsuccessful? Would he think, you know what, next year I think we can go one better, or would he think that's probably about as good as I'm going to get? And it's also the fact that we have to be realistic that every year we're going to have to rebuild to a certain extent. This year we've had to, we lost 6 of the playoff semi-final team, so he's probably got. It'll be interesting. You would imagine it would depend on what the offer is. And then if it's a good one, you'd think, yeah, he probably will. Chances are further up the pyramid.
And ultimately, I think, given that there was the flirtations with Gillingham and whoever else, some say Hartlepool, some say whatever, and that was before he'd really done anything, respectfully. When I say done anything, I mean he didn't have the significant body of work that he's got now. If a club like that comes again, he'd be a glitch. We're getting glitch after glitch today, people. But it must be Robin Stanton-Gleeves shutting down the shutting down the feed today. He's hearing what I'm saying, and he's like, "Let me shut this one down." But I think everyone's got to fundamentally look at it like, what would you do in your own job and in your own career? And if you had been successful in your own job for 3-4 years on the bounce and everybody knew you were good, you would say professionally, it's time to test myself in a new role, right? And it's weird because we treat football differently to any other profession. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. And Andy must have his own ambitions and his own desires. And should he not get Bromley promoted this season but still have a good season, me personally, I would say, Andy, thank you for everything you've done. I understand respectfully why you all now want to try and step up to a new challenge. That's me personally. I don't want Andy to go, but that's my personal take on what may happen at the end of this season.
Yeah, I think it's similar to any number of players, including the sort of 5 that have moved up the pyramids from us last year that have gone on. You can't stand in someone's way if they're going to progress to a higher level. It's very difficult to take if they go to a club at your level, but if they go further up, you go, okay, fair enough. I understand the move.
Luckily, Cole, I don't think anyone heard that part. But listen, this is as apt a sign as we're possibly going to get that we need to lock off the feed. Because,
yeah, absolutely.
I do apologize, people. We kind of knew before recording this that the internet was going to play up. I think the weather outside is playing havoc with internet feeds. I hope it hasn't been too much of a hassle to kind of stick with it in terms of the glitching in and out. I think you'll get the gist of the points anyways. But listen, Cole, who have we got next? Solihull. I'm not going to that. And I doubt I'll watch it through any stream either. But we'll catch up again. I think we've got Eastleigh next Tuesday. And then someone on Saturday. Gates. Who's on Saturday? Is it Gateshead?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it might be Gateshead. So we got a few more games coming up quick and fast. Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday to catch up on people. But as ever, look in the comments. Sorry, look in the descriptions below where to find Cole, where to find the Substack page, where to find everything. You can see the ticker tape at the bottom at Bromley with Love. At where you can find Cole, etc. On the Facebook group, comment, etc. If you want to come on the show, if you want to contribute, let us know. But Cole, thank you very much for coming on once again.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Brilliant, people. That's been the deep dive. It's been a jittery deep dive. It's been a dodgy internet deep dive, but it's been a deep dive all the same. Thank you as ever for watching. We'll be with you soon. I've been Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, the host of From Bromley with Love. Everywhere we go.